Hi everyone, my name is Tabitha Charles, and I am from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm 28 years old, and I am attending Herzing University because it is my desire to elevate the life of my family for generations to come. I have always been a hard worker. I've never had a problem with working to earn the things that I want. And now looking back, I find it amazing to think that I've already invested over a decade into my working life. I've been working since I was 16 years old. I have always enjoyed my jobs. I like working with the public and I like working in jobs that are physically challenging to me. I started off working as a cashier at a small local grocery store, and from there, I continued on into fast food. I've worked in the fast food industry for about 10 years. Currently, I am managing a Subway restaurant while I attend Herzing. I've never minded that the jobs that I had paid little and they lacked benefits because I always felt that as long as I made enough money to cover my bills, that I was doing okay. Recently, I went through some events that made me realize that just being able to cover my bills was not enough. One day, out of the blue, my husband got shot. He and I were riding together. We were going to pick up his goddaughter, and we pulled up, and there was somebody in the driveway. They were arranging stuff for an elderly woman to get in the car, excuse me. And we were waiting in the road for them to pull out. Well, behind us pulled up somebody blowing the horn and cutting up and cursing and screaming. And when they pulled around, which they could have done the entire time instead of just sitting there waiting for us, but when they pulled around, they got out yelling and screaming, and my husband got out and was fussing with them. And then another truck pulled up in front of us, and a guy got out with a beer in one hand and a gun in the other, and he shot my husband. I thought I was gonna lose him that day, but I didn't. After three surgeries and a stay in the hospital for a while, in addition to some time, a few months that he had to take off of work, now he's back at a level of functionality to the point where you couldn't tell that he had been through such trauma. After that, maybe a little less than a year later, we had a baby. We had our third baby girl, but things did not go as expected for her. 2 weeks before she was born, I went to the gynecologist and got an ultrasound done, and they told me that she was about 5 pounds. They were expecting her to be about 7 pounds when she was born. But things don't always go like we think they're gonna go. So I went to the hospital one day because I was having steady contractions. They weren't painful or anything, but I went in anyway. And they found out that I was having the contractions, and they found out that my pressure was borderline high. And they also found out that every time I had a contraction, my baby was experiencing decels, which is when their heart rate slows down. So basically, what ended up happening was that her umbilical cord was wrapped under her arm and around her neck twice. And when I gave birth to her, it knocked her unconscious. She came out and she was blue. And not only was she blue and not breathing, but she was only 3 pounds and 11 ounces. Um, it was a big surprise to all of us. The doctor said that it was because her cord was so compressed that she wasn't receiving all of the nutrients that she needed to grow properly. So she ended up doing a stay in the NICU, and by the time I brought her home, she wasn't even 4 pounds yet. That was probably some of the scariest days of my life, even besides watching my husband get shot and driving him to the hospital myself. Um, the fear that I felt for her, it's unmatched. It's something that really made me take a step back and look at my life and the way that I was doing things, and it made me question, if I really am I really living? Am I really setting the example that I need to set? The next thing that happened to us, well, I say happened to us, but happened to me, but it happens to my family. But when you're the woman in the family, you take things to heart, and whatever happens to your family happens to you because you're the backbone. And the last thing I went through is that my husband was on trial and facing time in jail because after he got shot, he decided to get a gun to be able to protect himself because the police had apprehended the wrong person. We talked to the police several times and they insisted that we must be lying or whatever the case was, but they weren't letting go of the guy that they had. And so he got a gun and he got pulled over with the gun, and that led to him going to jail and subsequently having a trial. So now I was in this position where it's like, what are you going to do, Tabitha? You need to take care of your family. You need to create an environment where your children can live and thrive, and you can't depend on anybody else to do it. These are the talks that I had with myself, and the conclusion that I came to was that I decided that my family needed more security from financial hardships because all of these events that we had been through had caused us to lose out on a lot because we had to take time off of work dealing with these things. And when you don't work in jobs, the type of jobs that we had, if you don't work, you can't pay your bills. So I decided that my family needed more security from hardships. I decided that I deserved to be able to take time off or be sick sometimes. I decided that I want to be there for my children, that I needed a work-life balance. I decided that it was time for me to be mindful of not only what I'm going to encounter today, but what I'm going to encounter in the future. I decided that it was time for me to become a heroine for my children, to show them what a real role model looks like. I decided to show them that if they work diligently, that they can achieve what they set out to achieve. So I decided to go back to school, and I set my heart on succeeding in school. And now here I am.